Our top focus story, India Today's Access, exclusive details of how young Sipahi Mandeep Singh of the 17th Battalion, the Sikh Regiment, was killed, his body mutilated, and how India then decided to teach the state sponsors of terror a lesson. Artillery guns were moved closer to the line of control in pistol firing mode. That's direct firing mode. 4 Pakistani posts in the Keren sector were targeted. That's why India is far superior to Pakistan. We have details of the damage that India's artillery assault, India's fire assault caused to the Pakistanis at the line of control. At least 20 Pakistan Army soldiers, according to intercepts, were killed and seriously injured. Rahul Kanwal and Shiv Arur with this report.
Just a few hours after Sikh Battalion Sepoy Mandeep Singh was beheaded on the border, as the nation mourned its braveheart, India launched its border revenge, and it was most fearsome. India Today has the first inside details of how India responded that night on October the 29th. Heavy artillery guns were stealthily moved near the line of control as India prepared for its most fiery retaliation. A swift and solid response to Pakistan's treacherous strike at India, in which they killed and then beheaded one of our soldiers. And finally, a big artillery strike launched by India on the night of October the 29th, directly at Pakistan posts in the Keren sector. Top government sources have revealed stunning details to India Today. This is the unheard truth about India's military reply that night. Inside details of India's 29th October counterfire, during which at least 20 Pakistani soldiers were killed, 4 Pakistan posts in Keren were destroyed, and there was extensive damage to enemy assets, including a company headquarters. So ferocious was India's pre-Diwali bombardment that the Pak army was waving white flags and has been relatively silent for the last 3 days. With Gaurav Sawant on the international border and Rahul Kanwal in Delhi, Bureau Report, India Today.
India Today now gets you inside details of how the third eye of the destroyer is being deployed all along the international border. Now these are very sensitive, high-resolution thermal imagers and cameras. Now they are up from sub. So what do these cameras do? There's an intricate web of these cameras that's been installed all along the international border, and they spot enemy movement. They thus alert soldiers who are already deployed there, and before the threat comes closer to the fence, the threat is neutralized. Pakistan so far hasn't been able to find any way to dodge these cameras. Now some of these cameras are already installed, more are being installed, and this is perhaps the biggest force multiplier across the international border that has helped the security force, especially the border security force.
All across the international border facing Pakistan, the border security force is deploying a complex maze of thermal imagers, high-resolution cameras that take the heat, that sense the heat of the adversary's body and alert security personnel. Now there are control rooms that have been set up at the international border where they can see any movement and alert the border guards who are deployed in border outposts. There are decoy cameras that have been deployed, and there are real cameras with UPS constantly supplying power to these cameras from sundown to sun up. Pakistan hasn't been able to find anything to dodge these cameras, and that is why the BSF in this sector has had perfect kill ratio. Every time a suspicious movement has been spotted, the adversary has been brought down. Now technology is extensively being deployed, from thermal imagers to laser lights, and these lasers are almost like that invisible web. If it's breached, there is an alarm that goes up and the BSF personnel are alerted. Infrared lights are also being deployed along the international border. Now we cannot show you where these cameras have been deployed because that would alert the adversary. They've been very well concealed. It's almost like the third eye of the destroyer. That is how it's being described here. With cameraman Kirpal Singh at the Jammu sector border, Gaurav Sawant for India Today.
And joining me now with the latest on the deployment of these cameras is India Today's Ashwini Kumar. Ashwini, you've been speaking to your sources in the BSF. You've travelled extensively along the international border. Tell us more about these cameras. How are they being deployed? How are they coming to the aid of our security forces?
Gaurav, for the last 2 to 3 months, Pakistan is disturbed very well because they have launched some of the terrorists near the international border, but they are not able to infiltrate to this side because of our cameras are working very well. And even the Union Home Minister Rajnath Singh has already said that within 2 years, this whole international border from Paharpur in Kathua to Akhnur sector, around 200 kilometers, it will be a sealed border. That means it doesn't mean the sealed. What do you mean by sealed? Sealed means it will be a laser type border, and everything will be detected immediately. And at this moment, the HHTI, that handheld thermal imager, are working very well, and Pakistan is targeting these cameras. And you can see the number of attempts have been made by the Pakistanis along with the terrorists, but they have been foiled by the BSF. Yeah.
Ashwini Kumar, for the moment, many thanks for joining me. As Ashwini was telling us, these cameras are so well concealed that the enemy just can't spot them. Several are real cameras. There are also some decoy cameras that have been put there. But let's now shift focus. Pakistan appears to be very demoralized, and that is why Pakistan is targeting civilian areas. Now, the BSF is very confident. It's had success in destroying Pakistani bunkers, Pakistani BOPs, border outposts, and also some of their mortar positions. I spoke to DK Upadhyay, Inspector General of the Border Security Force, as he travelled to various sectors all along the international border to boost the morale of the men he commands. The BSF has actually celebrated Diwali only today. Along the international border, in the worst shelled area, senior officers of the BSF are talking to their men, looking at preparedness at this point of time. And the Inspector General of the Border Security Force, Deep Upadhyay, with us. Sir, what brings you here?
It's a continuous more than 15 days. We are having a pissed battle with the Pakistan. Of course, for the last 2 days, there has been a respite. Basically, it is fought on the basis of morale. If the morale is high and the well-knit team, that basically fights it out. And I am here to talk to my boys and also just to see that the morale is very high. And I'm very happy to see that everybody is in a very high morale.
Now, we saw you were distributing sweets to your Jawans. The country celebrated Diwali some days ago. For them, they're celebrating Diwali only now.
Oh yes, because they have been fighting it out, and to rough out for so many days, nobody has asked me to leave even. As I asked a number of people over there whether they want to go and leave, so they said, this is the time when the country requires our services, and we are here. And this is a very heartening thing for the commander. And the mithai is distributed just only to say that Diwali is not over. We are still celebrating it.
Very good, sir. What we also noticed is, the man behind the gun, he's very, very important. The Border Security Force, the army that's deployed all along this area. But the equipment is equally important. And one thing we've noticed is that the handheld thermal imagers, they've played a very crucial role in capturing the infiltrators. Is that a big force multiplier? Do you need more?
In fact, upgradation of technology is a continuous process. As of now, we are self-sufficient, and whatever equipment is required, that is available with us to take care of the border management.
What sources have also been telling us that all along the international border, we will have more eyes on the enemy, on his infiltration. Is that, Dushman ka sting operation, is that going to be really big?
That may be in your terminology. But for me, all the force multipliers, basically, these are the added assets to me. But for me, the soldier who is basically fighting, that is very...
In fact, when BSF talks about morale, it's not just the men, it's even women BSF personnel who are very keen to serve even at the border outposts, even at the front line. Some of them have been given an opportunity to go and fire just so that they can experience what it is like to defend our borders. And there are several young women personnel who said they're raring to go. They want to be deployed right at the international border so that they can be the first line of this nation's defense. Some of these personnel are extremely young. 22 to 25 years old, they are married, they come from home and hearth, they are from this region, and that is why for these women personnel, defending their area becomes top priority. I spoke to some of them, let's listen in. At the international border, it's not just the men, but even women personnel of Border Security Force who've been deployed, and they are holding fort with their weapons despite the shelling, despite the firing. Fortunately, no shelling or firing just as yet, but the deployment continues. And with me is Constable Anubala. जब ये firing होती है या shelling होती है, डर लगता है?
नहीं, हमें बिल्कुल डर नहीं लगता. हम बॉर्डर पे तैनात ही देश की रक्षा के लिए हुए हैं.
ऐसा तो नहीं लगता कि ये जो फायरिंग हो रही है इससे अच्छा यहाँ ना ही होते, रियर में होते, क्योंकि सिविल लोग भी काफी यहाँ से हट चुके हैं?
नहीं सर, अगर हम ऐसा करेंगे तो लोगों का हम लोगों पर विश्वास उठ जाएगा. उन्हें पता है कि ये हम लोग उनकी सेवा के लिए हुए हैं. अगर हम लोग पीछे हट जाएंगे तो उन लोगों की रक्षा कौन करेगा? इस देश, इस भारत माता की रक्षा कौन करेगा? ये चीज़ है ना, इसीलिए हम लोग पीछे नहीं हट सकते. हम लोग भर्ती हुए हैं बॉर्डर लाइन डिफेंस के लिए, ताकि दूसरों को हम सुरक्षा दे सकें.
आपका मनोबल बहुत ऊंचा है, आपके अधिकारी भी आकर आपसे लगातार मिल रहे हैं. कोई फायदा होता है कि अगर अधिकारी आए मिले?
जी सर, हमें हमारे आईजी आए थे, अभी हमें सपोर्ट करके गए. हमें उनसे बहुत ज़्यादा सपोर्ट मिली है कि हमारे इरादे और भी बुलंद हो गए हैं. हमें पाकिस्तान से बिल्कुल डर नहीं लगता.
So when they talk about irade buland, they talk about celebrations. Now, there may have been shelling, there may have been firing, but it's something about the spirit of the Indian Jawan. The soldier just knows how to celebrate. Take a look at these images where one of the commanding officers, when he went to meet his soldiers, he said, "Is there any problem? Can I do something for you?" They said, "Yes, dance." Enjoying the dance. The situation along the international border is fairly peaceful for the past 48 hours plus. Now it is hope that farmers will be able to return and once again life will come back to normal. The sound of the shells is not music to their ears, but this bhangra certainly is. With cameraman Kirpal Singh in the Jammu sector, Gaurav Sawant for India Today. I now want to shift focus. I now want to take you north of Pir Panjal. You've seen the situation in Jammu, but in Kashmir, 30 schools have now been gutted, which means lakhs of children will not have access to education. What is it that the government intends to do? In fact, my colleague Shujaul Haq, when he went to his school where he had studied, that school too had been burned down. So Ashraf Wani and Shujaul Haq get you this report.
The valley's future is being set ablaze in the dead of night. Over 30 schools set on fire in less than 4 months. On Thursday night, miscreants attempted to torch Srinagar's prestigious SP College by hurling a petrol bomb at it. Another government school in North Kashmir's Bandipora set ablaze, prompting swift police action. Fire tenders rushed to the spot, quickly bringing it under control, thankfully. Arsonists also targeted yet another school in Gandarbal, damaging it partially.
There being a tussle between the government and the students over the dates of examination. This entire trend of mysterious fires in these educational institutions is adding more uncertainty over the resumption of the educational activity.
It is the valley's future that is at stake as parents are in a serious dilemma about sending their children to school. Education, the latest and most brutal casualty of the Kashmir unrest. With Shujaul Haq and Ashraf Wani in Srinagar, Bureau Report, India Today.
Education has been targeted in Afghanistan, education has been targeted in parts of Pakistan, now education being targeted in Kashmir. It's for the youth of the valley to wake up and hit back at these people who are targeting education. That is all I have time for in this India First special. Many thanks for watching.